me. This is my first ever webinar, to be honest, and I'm very thankful to Venkat and Vinay for reaching out to me. And we have pretty much covered today's topic on a very short notice. I think it's just been about a week, and the whole week was a working week. But the point I said to myself is that there would never be a right time, and even if Vinay would have given me 2 weeks time, I'm sure I would have still been in a tight spot. So Vinay has given my introduction, and a little bit over on top of that is presently I'm working with Infosys Consulting, and Venkat, who is also a part of this webinar, is my colleague, and pretty much both of us joined together at IC. And presently, I'm involved in a very, very complex agile transformation engagement. And prior to this also, I have done at least 3 or 4 transformations. Now, as a SPC, my core skill is with SAFe framework. And I think that, and I'm not at all embarrassed about it, because it takes some bit of experience and some bit of hands-on experience to get expertise on one framework, and we have about 5 or 6 different frameworks. So I think I'm still at early stages of this journey, but at the same time, on an average, each transformation is for at least our association with transformation may range anywhere from few months to couple of years. For me, that average has been about a year, and plus some couple of months. So in that context, and of course, the organizations with which I have done the transformation are large clients. They are massive in size. Their revenues and all such key numbers are they run in billions of dollars. The reason I'm bringing up this is because that much is the complexity, right? These organizations which are big in size have that much of complexity, and transformation becomes all the more complex. So again, thank you for giving me this opportunity. I will start, and I had requested Vinay to enable the participants to unmute themselves and just ask questions as and when required. Yeah. So I hope you are able to do that and not just put it on a chat window.
Good morning, Tasneem. I have many questions. First question is mine, because Agile is something that which has evolved over a period of time from waterfall model, hybrid model, and it is for the quick changes, adapting to the quick changes, writing code, testing, deploying it into production, and then operations according to the changing needs of the industry, organization, clients, stakeholders, suppliers, contractors, and all. And why this particular session, when Agile itself is having change management, aligning with the change management and transformation, and what is the very crux of this meet? Please give some insights into it.
So I'm very surprised, Vamsi, that you are saying that it is part of agile transformation, the change management. And in today's webinar, I will try to cover that as coaches, right? And I assume that most of the participants or audience here are operating either in coaching space or in the transformation space, right? And if I particularly talk about SAFe framework, though I know this particular webinar is framework agnostic, but since my experience is from that, and it is one of the most widely used framework across industries. So whatever I'm talking is in that context. Now, the SAFe framework per se does not talk too much about change management. There are no guidelines there, right? And in today's topic, we will see that what is it that we are doing as coaches, and we think that that we are also addressing change management, but why it is not sufficient, what else needs to be done, and what are the skills that are required to do that. right? So let's have a look at that, Vamsi. At the end, I have kept about 10 minutes for open Q&A. If you think that your questions are still not answered, we will circle back there.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Can I start? Okay. So yeah, so we are though I think the word is a very big word, right? Seamlessly, it is not at all easy. And let's just take a look here. So this is the broad agenda on which I would be talking: enterprise agile transformation, to set the context, not to do a deep dive into this, why change management, and how do we embed this in agile ways of working. So I know that in the previous webinars that have happened, specifically enterprise agile transformation has been covered by colleagues like Venkat, Vinay, and other renowned speakers. So I am just going to touch upon this. So when we are doing enterprise level agile transformations, a lot of our focus as coaches is on agile framework, right? Whatever that framework is, we first want to unpack various aspects of that framework. So our focus is on agile framework, and typically the framework per se, whatever out-of-box framework is there, doesn't adopt to each enterprise's specific context. And so we create a target operating model that, this is how, for your organization, the challenges that you are facing, this is the operating model that we are going to unpack. And we once all those discussions are over, we start working on building the basic foundational blocks and eventually lead them towards agile adoption. So at this point of time, what are various scenarios that are possible with respect to point number 2? One is that the organization has already engaged a top-notch consulting firm like likes of McKinsey or ABC, who are their advisory partner on at the strategy level on how the agile operating model would look like. And as coaches, we may or may not have a lot of say in that, and we are just then involved in implementing the agile ways of working, ensuring that it is adopted, and so on. The second possible scenario is that already the enterprise agile transformation is on the way and we get onboarded, right? So which means that already it has been strategized, some aspect of it has been implemented, and we are joining. The third scenario could be that nothing is there, and when we enter in, we have to define the target operating model and unpack it. So all these various scenarios are possible. And each of these scenarios, for each of these various scenarios, there might be more. And if you want to unmute and share your experience of how you have entered into a agile transformation, please feel free to do that. By and large, I am just saying that these could be the various scenarios. And each of the scenario presents a different set of challenge for us as coach, right? And that is not the focus of today's discussion, but just trying to do the context, and we will come back to these scenarios, right? So once all, in whichever scenario you have entered, your strategy, your focus then becomes to unpack it, to do the adoption, and start bringing stability into the transformation. Because one thing that we we tell our clients is that we are not going to disrupt anything, right? We don't want to disrupt your existing ways of working, but bring the transformation seamlessly, smoothly within your organization. So when your teams are created, when they start working in agile ways of way, and you have product backlogs ready, you have program level structure ready, that is a hell lot of change, not only for your engineering teams, but also from the client context, whoever is involved in the governance structure. For all of them, it is a lot of change, and it requires a lot of effort to bring stability, right? Because we don't want to disrupt, and we have to ensure that whatever were the previous commitments from the delivery perspective are not getting disrupted. So that bringing the stability itself requires a lot of focused effort from coaches. And assuming that all these things are done in few months of time, then our focus is to bring continuous improvement in what teams are doing, and establish mechanisms that this becomes industrialized. So your involvement becomes less and less with the teams which have already gone through 1, 2, 3, 4 steps, and they have it in their muscle memory, and then you can slowly take off your hands from there, your involvement from there, and then you pick up next set of teams to start scaling, and the whole journey starts. Of course, it is much more complex than these 5 steps, but I just wanted to set the context, right? So why are we talking about change management? If you pick up some of the industry reports, right, the change management is required because 90% of the time when an organization decides that it wants to get into agile ways of working, the initiative is so the initiative is taken by the IT org of the organization, and when they, because they have realized the challenges that they are facing in the delivery mechanism. So most of the time, 90% plus of the time, this is identified by IT org, and business is not bothered. And the other day I was reading on LinkedIn that end user, your end customer, is not at all bothered whether you are agile or not agile, right? And that is true. And agile has never known to say that, you know, end users are bothered whether the organization is using agile or not. They are agnostic to how the delivery is happening. But if it is a IT initiated if this whole transformation is IT initiated, the business is kind of not bothered, right? And essentially, if we are doing large scale transformation, we will be doing few things which would pull out people from their comfort zone. And we have, at least I have seen in my personal experience in last 3 or 4 transformations, that they do not want to come out of that comfort zone. So they give lot of resistance, right? That why is it required? I would continue to give you requirement once in 3 months, or, you know, I will continue to use same tools or same processes. I don't see what is the problem. So there is a disconnect between IT and business, and this is the main challenge that your clients are facing, and they are trying to overcome. They are trying to bring this alignment. And as coaches, when we come into the picture, our focus is to bring framework in life, to unpack the agile framework, whatever that framework is. And these are the things which slip out, that your business is not aligned. So when you are bringing in the governance structure, and if you say that, okay, we need business folks here because they need to work on product roadmaps, these roadmaps are the ones which should be consumed by your agile release train. So there is nobody from business, right? Because why? Because there has been no communication, there has been no active engagement or conversations with business, that how things are going to change for them. And they do not understand that this is not, even though it is initiated by IT, it is not limited only to IT. It touches the aspect of business also, and it touches to a large extent. It is not some light touch points that we are having with business. And so as coaches, this aspect is a parallel set of complications that are going on, and we are not yet involved into that, because we trust that the organization, the client for which we are working, it is them to bring that alignment, and they will eventually do it. And we give our ask that I need somebody here at portfolio level, I need somebody here at program level. And the chances are you may or you may not get the later being more true. And from our perspective, what we think is that the trainings and the workshops that we do as part of transformation deals with the change management. right? But that is not the fact. Why? Because these trainings are very focused on Agile. What is the estimation process? What is the prioritization process? What are various Scrum ceremonies? How to write features? How to write stories? How to write epics? Or how to bring cadence? So all our trainings are very specific to Agile ways of working and does not necessarily cover the change aspect. So we think that this is what change management is, but actually it is not. So product owner, for example, the role which comes from the business side, we think that, okay, we have trained you on Scrum ceremonies, we have trained you on program ceremonies, this is how you are expected to work. But what we are not communicating to them in these trainings and workshops is that how your day is going to change, where all your a day, a day or a month or regular engagements or commitments going to change, how your capacity is going to change. These things are not communicated, right? And so you will realize that from our perspective, we spend a lot of effort on conducting these trainings and workshops. And yet, essentially, these are Agile trainings and nothing to do with change management. So why are these trainings not sufficient? And I've just covered some of the part of this, right? The point number 3, when and we create our own Agile training calendars and we start executing them. At the time when we are doing the training, it is mostly before the transformation starts coming to life, before the changes happen. We want to train them to make them understand. But the very fact that it is before, people do not actually grasp the expected changes that are going to happen in their work life, right? And they may not pay full attention, or they may not grasp that how things will change for them once this is implemented. So even though from our perspective the trainings are executed at 100% efficiencies and whatnot, the grasping of these trainings from the end user point is very less. It could be anywhere from 25% to 30%. And I have spoken to a lot of such end users, and they say that, when we do those, and safe is a punching bag there, right? Yeah, we have taken safe as this training. We are trained on safe. We know what it is. But to be honest, they don't, right? They do not understand how those changes are going to affect, sorry, at the cost of repeating that point, but they do not grasp it. And later, when it starts coming in, they are not ready, right? And then you will see the resistance coming, or then you will see things spilling out, people not being available, and a lot of resistance would be shown that our calendars are booked for next 2 months. We don't have time to do this. I have this commitment. I have workshop in that location, or we are doing some cutover at some location and whatnot. And without their involvement, you cannot proceed. So now you are at a deadlock. What do we do about it? The other aspect is that there simply are too many trainings and workshops, right? Because it depends on what kind of audience you are dealing with, what is the scale of your transformation, right? Are you dealing with some 50 plus teams which are getting from current ways of working to pod to Agile, or is it a small set of teams, maybe 5 or 10 teams that you're dealing with? Regardless, it is just the number of trainings and workshops will remain the same, right? You will have essentially maybe 12-15 different types of training. If you have large audience, you will do it in batches. You will do it in batches, you will cover one, then, and so it repeats. But from end user perspective, on an average, it is about 30 to 40 hours that they spend on training. It could be more, right? And the last point, that the SOWs may not necessarily cover the change management aspect, and the framework doesn't cover it either. So as coaches, we are left on our own to deal with this, because us are involved even at RFPs at the time the SOWs are signed, and we have that complete context, and we can possibly, work at this level and bring the change management component also in SOW. But none of the, at least to my knowledge, none of the frameworks explicitly cover the change management part. So when we get involved into the engagement, it becomes ad hoc. It is on us to figure out what it is and then deal with it. There are no structured guidelines to work on change management aspect. So I'll just take a pause here. My question to the participants is that what, according to you, are average number of hours that the coaches spend in giving trainings or workshops?
So far in small, that depends from organization to organization,
Yeah.
Tasneem. If it is a major organization like my ex-employer Lenovo, GE Healthcare, they want everybody to be on the same page. They engage Agile coach, Scrum ceremonies, daily stand-ups, Kanban. We write lot of things and stuff and so on. But right now, my employer, who is very limited, they don't know what is Scrum is. They daily attend the calls and give the updates and all. So that depends from organization to
No, but
organization.
give me a ballpark number that as coaches, and see, here is the difference, right? There is a difference between coaches and trainers, right? Some people have very good training skills, but may not be very good coaches. And some coaches would have both of them, right? So I am saying that on an average, my question is very simple. In whatever organization or whatever context you're operating, in large scale transformations, how many hours we are spending on trainings?
Per week or per month? What exactly it
No,
is?
across the whole transformation.
Might be 100 hours roughly.
100 hours. Okay. Anybody else?
So in the initial days,
100 hours per person, per participant, we are saying, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So in the initial large transformations, while I worked with, the coaching was more towards the client than to the developers or the leads over here.
Yeah.
So it is more from the client perspective rather than to the employer's perspective. Let me call that. Because so that the client will need to understand what kind of cycle or what kind of, is it they want it in agile or waterfall. They still have the mindset of the waterfall model than agile.
Absolutely.
The coaching is required more for the clients basically. So that is what it has happened. And while I was working for one of the utilities for UK based, it has spent across need to have a mindset of going to the agility model, which has made them to work for at least 1 or 2 months, day in, day out, what is the scrum ceremonies, etc., for all the middle managers and the high level managers, so that they understand what they are talking about, so that we can bring them up to the speed of, or they can join as a product owner. People still feel the question about why I am a product owner, right? That was the first question, right? So they don't, while we speak about we are a client, why you are calling me as a product owner? So these are the different questions which we initially had. Yeah, but if you are asking me, definitely it took for the large transformation programs for 5 years or 7 years program, it took at least first 4 months for them to make them understand, so that the clients, if the client understand, it would be easy for us to say that, yeah, client says client is God and we follow the same thing, and they don't have a choice for employers. So from the employer's perspective, if you ask me, that is an easy, because they are very much into the skill transformation model. They are very much fine. Everybody are into the understanding of it. So coaches will be spending more time to the client side than to us. And that too, in the initial planning itself, coaches are required. I don't think every other module of sprint planning or execution or to the retrospectives, they'll be joining us so that they can see the velocity. If the client challenges on the velocity perspective, that's what it is. Maybe I try to answer your question, but yeah, that's
So,
it.
may I know your name? I'm not able.
Sai Ram.
Sai. So, Sai, what you're saying is if we take about 4 months, you're saying initial 3 to 4 months is only on trainings,
Yes, exactly.
right?
Because it is for
And,
the, yeah, go ahead.
so 20 into 4 is 80 days, roughly 80 days and 8 hours per day. And
I
even
don't
if you take,
I
even
don't
if
do
you
eight,
take,
8 hours. It is
yeah,
more
of
of the
course.
mindset. Yeah, it is about the mindset changing, etc. Because we are running as a program. They don't want it in the waterfall agile. They want it in more in the agile fashion. Even we propose agile, they don't understand. Oh, we'll say that okay, we'll do in a priority basis. We'll do in the phase 1 basis. That's how they used to communicate to us. They don't use the word. The language should be to be transformed from themselves so that they can understand. I don't say it is 8 hours per day. It would be 3 hours,
Of
4 hours.
course.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, because I just want to arrive at a rough number. So even if it is 2 hours per day into 80 days, is 1600 hours.
right. You can,
As against
but
what?
for about lot many middle managements actually, middle
I,
managers.
It's 160 hours.
Yeah,
80 into 2 is 160
sorry,
hours,
160 hours. I'm sorry.
yeah.
And Vamsi, your number was around 100 hours, right? And my number is around 100 hours. Anybody else who has a different take here? Okay, so now if we think from enterprise point of view, right? According to them, they have invested so much in trainings and workshops, right? 100 plus hours they have spent. They are giving billing to the coaches. They are giving billing to the trainers and whatnot. And the participants are keeping their normal work aside and are working and are taking these trainings. So from the organization's perspective, that is a significant investment, and that should take care of the change management aspect. Whoever are taking the training are able to understand what it is, and they are able to adjust. 1 second.
Also, there was a question from client as well, why they need to bill to the coaches as well. Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, what is it? I missed it.
So also the client questions them that why I need to bill you. You're just giving a training than coaching over here. So coaching and training, they don't understand the difference. They'll just
Yeah.
so why I need to give you so much of amount in a dollar value. So that is a challenge for the management from the employer perspective for the client of why you are charging them, etc. And
Yeah.
because they don't see the value at the end of the sprint or whatever it is, right?
I think with this workshop, right, maybe we might be able to handle such questions where we say that, okay, look, if we don't even do this, first of all, the framework doesn't talk about it. The SOW doesn't talk about it. And if you don't do trainings, then good luck with the transformation, right? To a large extent, we try to cover things, but change management is a very specialized field, and presently in Infosys, I am part of the TNO org, which is talent and organization vertical, which specializes into the change management aspect. And working with them, I have realized that it is considered as a specialized field, and the consultants who are working in the change management fields have certain set of specialities, and which as coaches we may not necessarily have. We may not even be aware that how change management actually is brought to life. Now, as and Venkat, please feel free to pitch in here. And we are seeing in our vertical that there are so many clients which are engaging with us and are willing to pay millions of dollars only to take care of the change management aspect, right? And if it is not a specialized skill, if it is not bringing some specific changes that they are expecting, the clients will not pay for it, right? So first let us understand that what are various challenges that the clients are having and how change management works. This should also give you an ability to see that as coaches, when we are working on large transformations, are we actually thinking about these things, right? Let us take some time to understand this. So I have got two cases here. One case is what you are seeing on your screen, and for me, this let me just try to minimize this. Yeah. So the top aspect is talking about the challenges that the client is having, and what is it that the change management consultants bring in, right? So variety of maturity levels of planning tools across countries, lack of, and some of these, and in fact, in one of my slides later, these challenges will get broadly classified into 5 or 6 categories, right? I am bringing this because it is a specific case. Higher attrition, strong regional power centers, varied culture, a mix of developed and developing countries. Now this is very realistic to us because we are dealing with geographically distributed virtual teams, right? Somebody is from APAC, somebody is from US, somebody is from here, there, and everywhere, right? And a complex IT landscape, lack of standardization, right? And within, and lot of these challenges we can relate with transformation context as well. Now, let us look at what are the tools that are used by consultants who have specialized skills in change management. So, identifying early adoption indicators and resistance signals, right? As coaches, do we work in this space to see resistance signals? At the most, what we will do is in trainings or in workshops, we will realize that, you know, this person is resisting a lot, he is not ready for transformation, or we feel that, you know, he's still having waterfall mindset. He's still having, boss, we are just starting the training, you have to give them time to change from that mindset. What I'm trying to say is, loosely, as coaches, we spot some people, or we categorize some participants from in our purview that they are still having waterfall mindset, or that person is creating some resistance, is showing resistance. But the change management consultants, they identify the early adoption indicators. How you will figure out that yes, they have started adopting to the change, and they also work on resistance signals. And I do not think that as coaches we specialize to work in this space. And the reason for that is that bringing a transformation into life itself is a very, very complex process, right? And it involves extensive coaches and scrum masters and all other key roles are extensively involved just to bring the basic doing agile part to life, right? On top of this, this is a specific thing, and I don't think we particularly work in identifying resistance signals. We note it somewhere, but that is where we leave it, right? Capability building with strong pre, during, and post training tracking. So if you have operated with a client who have given you specialist OCM consultants, and then the part is that whenever you are executing your trainings or workshops, you engage with them, let them do this aspect of capability building across various stages, right? Are we doing that, right? Do we even think about it, right? We execute training, possibly take a vote that whether you like the training, has it helped you, and on some 8-10 parameters, we take the feedback and we move on. But the OCM consultants take that training feedback and they work on small aspects. For example, rewards and nudges to drive reinforcement, right? Again, at least in my experience, I have never found any time and bandwidth to operate on this level, either with my key stakeholders or even if OCM consultants are present in my engagement. I, as a coach, have never explicitly worked in identifying a reward or a nudge program for the organization. Now, this is a very interesting thing which I have learned. Bite-sized learning via month in a life of planner calendar or action books. So what I have learned here is that they will just say that, okay, you just have to do this one small thing every day for next 10 days. Right, so it is really, really bite size. So for example, in our context, it could be that, okay, only for 1 hour we want you to practice writing story in this particular format, just for 1 hour, and rest of your day would be as is, regardless of transformation, rest of your day would be as you have been doing. And so the change management consultants, they work with, and they bring these bite-sized changes and learnings, and they start stitching it into their daily life. So by the time the whole scale unlocks, those people don't even realize that, the whole thing has now changed and I'm liking it. They again take the feedback, and that feedback is much more rewarding than just asking them to, start working like this, because this is what Scrum ceremony requires, right? So the bigger the organization, the complex the landscape, the more difficult the change management looks, because these people are not here just to work on the transformation. They have 100 other things that are going parallel. And the first resistance is, why do I care what you're doing? I have 100 things to do. My calendar is triple booked. I don't care what you're doing. And I'm not, I just don't have time. And so these approaches are very helpful, where sometimes leadership also says that, guys, fine, we understand what it is, just spend 1 hour to do this aspect. And so this is a very important change management tool used by the consultants. Clearly define telemetry and KPIs for business and end user readiness, right? That how are we going to measure that the transformation has successful? This is a known aspect. As coaches, we know that we are asked to measure, is the transformation successful? How are we measuring it? And most of the time, our KPIs are with respect to velocity, with respect to burn down, with respect to defect density and such things. But here the KPI is business and end user readiness. The chances are that most of the time we do not actually interact extensively with end users, right? And that is one aspect which is left open for open for anybody to see that this whole aspect is not been touched upon, because they are sitting a little bit far away, and we may not have direct channel of communication as well. And so on, and you can see a few more tools here which are used. Various trackers to firmly govern the change journey across market. So your OCM consultant here is going to get engaged with you extensively, understand where the changes are, and they devise their own trackers to see that how this change is happening, and they do it across all the stakeholders, right? So let's just take a pause here, and I would like to ask audience that, as coaches, maybe you are already familiar with this, maybe you are already operating on these levels, and if yes, please share your experiences. That is one question that I'm asking. And the second question is more to do with, is any of the framework covering all these aspects? Are you familiar that these are the change management tools that are used by these consultants, OCM consultants?
Tasneem, a couple of points I would like to add here from my side as well. I think you covered a very important aspect today. Okay. And most of the times, now you talked about being agile versus doing agile. So most of the times we focus on doing agile. So even in my first transformation experiences, I have focused, because I'm from a technical background. So whether I implemented Scrum team, I implemented Jira, I implemented tools, and the focus will be always on doing agile. So when we get to say that I do a daily stand-up, I do a 2 week sprints and all the time agile, which is definitely not true. with experience, I understand the more important aspect of any agile coach or any transformation should be focus on the change management. I think understanding the change management, I think in our organization, we're doing the right way, we're including the agile in change management. I think I strongly believe that's the right way to do it.
Absolutely, Venkat. I can't agree more with you. I mean, if I could be given a scale, I would overshoot it by 1000%. And unfortunately, Venkat, what I'm realizing is that how extensive frameworks like SAFe, I'm not here to criticize it. I'm myself I'm operating in this space for about 7 years, but only with experience we realize that the framework should cover change management aspect and equip the coaches to understand. We don't even ask for this skill when we operate with a client. We don't even ask. We say that, yeah, agile transformation is fine. Where are your change management experts? Because we are going to bring a lot of changes, and how are we going to deal with that? We don't even ask for it, right? Because we don't even know, and it's not covered in any of the frameworks.
That's true. That's true. So though it is covered in some of the text in SAFe, but not exactly as what specific tools. Not at this level, definitely, yes.
Any other thoughts? Do we have any coach who has actually worked on these tools which are shown on the second this aspect, right? I would really like to learn from your experience if you have operated. If you have not, then I will move on. Conscious of time as well.
Yeah, I would like to add one quick point here. So, as rightly quoted by you, none of the frameworks extensively cover it. Maybe I'm not sure about the reasons, because of the complexity or because of the XYZ reasons. But yes, even I'm SPC, I can correlate being a SPC, they talk a little bit. In my organization, where I'm currently working as Agile coach in Agile Academy, we talk predominantly on top of Agile. We talk about two things: being a change agent and being a cultural mindset.
Yeah.
Okay, these two elements, you are right. None of the frameworks will touch deeply, but to drive the entire transformation, these two are the very key elements.
Absolutely.
The cultural mindset and the change transformation. Being a change agent, a lot of times Scrum Master is often called as being a change agent. How you need to drive the change, because he or she, the Scrum Master, is the person on the ground. That change implementation will come into the action expert, the transformation. Like, coaches or other leaders, they talk about it, but at the end of the day, closely working with the team,
It's a Scrum Master.
Yeah.
But you know what? My observation with Scrum Masters, and I have worked with at least 30-40 Scrum Masters in last couple of years. Some Scrum Masters are very good. You don't have to do anything with them, and you will see that they will bring amazing amount of outcomes for their specific teams, but small in number. Majority of the Scrum Masters are actually not equipped to do this, and there are multiple reasons. First of all, the industry perception is, or the way the industry is operating, is that the Scrum Masters who are operating on our team are very young. Right? They are in an experience slot of maybe 5 to 10 years, maybe 12 years. And they may not understand the grasp, the depth that is required here, and the real impact that they can bring. With the very reason that you said, that they are the ones working closest to the team. But the billing rate of the Scrum Master is very less. And because of that, the vendors, the IT organizations who are vendors to these clients, because the billing rates are very less, they are not able to bring proficient Scrum Masters on the play. So you will see that again, the diamond structure unraveling, right? That you have few very good Scrum Masters, and on an average you will have on a large scale you will have average Scrum Masters. So that aspect also is gone from our hands. Right? And from my experience, if they even do Scrum properly, I am thankful that, okay, I will deal with other aspects. You do at least Scrum properly. Even there I am seeing a lot of issues. doing the Scrum properly.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else who would like to share your experience, this aspect? Okay. Thank you so much, guys. All right. So this is another example. This is bringing a different flavor of change management and the expertise that they bring, right? Empathizing with target audience with interviews and surveys. Again, sorry, but beating on the same point as coaches, as transformation leads, transformation consultants, do we think of taking interviews and surveys? Do we even have that capacity or bandwidth to first identify the target audience and then do these interviews and surveys? We don't have. It's a specialized skill and requires a whole different set of work altogether. And so it should go hand in hand with agile transformation. The most important thing that I want to convey here in today's webinar, and I was thinking ever since Vinay and Venkat approached me, that what should be my key message to you, to the participants who are coming here on a Saturday to have a listen in here. My most important message would be that ask for it. Ask for change management consultants or experts. We are not even doing that. We don't even know how specialized this area is. So this one point is empathizing. And as coaches, we talk about empathy, we talk on all this, but we are not skilled to actually deal with this. As Venkat said, being agile is more important, comes much later. Mindset change is the slowest of the change that can come. So mindset change, then being agile and empathizing, all these are very complex areas. It's very difficult when you are dealing on a scale of 100 plus people in one wave or in one space, and you are one coach, maybe 3, maybe 5 coaches are there, right? How much are we expected to empathize? It's not possible because our hands are full with doing the transformation itself, right? As is to be identification via one-on-one sessions and follow-up. Again, a very, because this can be technical in nature, this can be functional or business in nature. It could be anything. But what I'm saying is to have one-on-one sessions and follow-ups, right? This again is a serious question on our bandwidth. Detailed study of personas and days in the life activity. To a large extent, this can be done by our teams, by the teams which are operating. We make them, when we are doing the user story workshops or feature writing workshops, we can give them a flavor of the user personas and ask them to operate in that space. But this particular point is about the end users who are getting impacted by change. Right? Who are they? What kind of people they are? We don't delve into that. Maybe 5%, 10%, but not to an extensive level where the change management becomes seamless. Yeah, so again, these are some of the specific tools and aspects where the change management consultants operate, and they deal with a complex set of problems to bring. And let me tell you, what I have learned in my current organization is that these change management engagements that are done also have a lifespan of anywhere from 1 year to 5 years to 7 years, right? And this is where you can relate with the transformation process. We also operate in a space which, depending upon the complexity and size of the organization, easily a transformation can take anywhere from 1 year to 5 years to 7 years. The previous client with which I was working is a very large US-based telecom provider, one of the top 3 players in US. And they are on the transformation journey from 2017. And we are in 2023 now, right? And since they are very massive and telecom is a cutthroat competitive industry. There is so much of competition for retaining the customers that the sheer amount of pressure that the organization have is massive. It is mind blowing, and they absolutely demand their engineering teams to deliver, and to deliver in 3 months, 3 weeks, not even 3 weeks, 2 weeks. Sometimes they will come with on demand delivery, and because they are large and massive, their release calendars are also very complex, their environments are very complex, right? And your teams are operating in that space, and if you think that they are not ready to adopt this, it would just fall flat. So the change management engagements also are on a span of 1 to 7 years, 10 years, and the same is the case with agile transformation. So if you just keep 2 and 2 parallel, you will realize that if a coach is expected to do all of this, I don't think that either capacity wise we can do that, nor I think as skill wise we can do it. So what is it that I want to cover today? Right? What is it that we can do as coaches, which is not as heavy and specialized as this, and yet is able to help us carve some path in change management? So subsequent slides are on that. Just time check here. So Vinay, do we have about 8 minutes, or how much time we are looking at? If you can help me.
Yeah, 8 minutes should be fine. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think I talked about it. I've talked about skill, and I have also said that it's not covered by framework, and what I have not covered, and I also talked about that our approach is ad hoc, right? And various reasons we have already talked about. I'll just skip with this part. So the challenges that I've talked about in the previous slides, by and large, are getting categorized into these aspects: that you have complex IT landscape, highly diverse set of employees. Now, this is very, very critical from change management. If you are talking to a Spanish person, as against as against a Brit person, and an Indian person, you will see that all of them will take change in a different way. And as coaches on working on large transformation, that is a reality that we face. We have people from all over the world who are in purview of transformation. Lack of standardization, there are no standard processes here. The client themselves are having local solutions and local regional power centers, and the transformation has to deal with that along with the change management and so on. So I am going to talk about some of the change management tools that I have personally used. And we are, as I said in the beginning, I'm operating in a very, very complex transformation. So in my case, the IT landscape is not that complicated, right? But the end users and the stakeholders and the organization culture and people who are working here, it is so difficult and complex to operate that when we started this engagement, we were not actually having that idea. So while I am working on the change management, on the agile transformation aspect, we have taken some simpler tools to deal with the change management aspect. And I believe that as coaches, maybe after this workshop, this could be a good takeaway for all of you. So simple tool is like newsletter. But let me first come to point number C. I have not written these points in the sequence. So I'll talk about point number C, create new organograms. Now, organograms are nothing but your team structure, right? And create it in a visual way, right? What image that this you are seeing here is the agile release train. And this I have taken from my live context of my present engagement. So how is this helping me? This is helping me to understand that, okay, if I am doing anything in this space, these are the people who are my focus area. Again, you may say it is a very small thing and you may have a 10 times scale to that. But whatever subsequent points I'm going to tell you are repeatable points. You can repeat the whole thing, but instead of, so how I have carved out this, I have carved this out of 100 people who are there in the transformation. So out of 100 people, this is my target audience. This is where I want to do my key communication. How am I going to do it? I'm going to write a newsletter. Am I skilled to write newsletter? No, I am not. I don't have time to bring this kind of amazing images and this and that, but I take help. Right, I take help from some people who are very good in doing this kind of graphics. Once you have established the template, it is one-time effort, maybe once in a quarter effort, but you know that you have to put an image, some title, and write something. Then the subsequent step is the content part. What is it that you want to convey in your newsletter? It could be related to what you are doing in transformation. Are they interested? Maybe. What are they interested in? What is it in this for me? Right? And if you are able to see that, okay, this is how these people would want to understand it, and that is where some amount of empathy factor comes in, or putting yourself in their shoes comes in, that you would eventually get there, what you want to convey. So one tool is have a visual representation of your target audience in the form of teams. Right now, here, if I look at framework, say framework again, for example, also I repeatedly say that I'm not using it as a punching bag, but they simply say that you need a product owner, you need a product manager, you need an architect, you need a RTE, and so on. In the left side of the framework, they specify it like that. But when you operate with the client, they may not necessarily have those roles, right? And you may find a person who may look like a fit there, and you may think that, yeah, he looks like a good candidate, but please, he's not ready, right? And yes, your framework might be saying this, but organization, HR, the way the hierarchy is set is may or may not be like that, right? So what do we do with that? And I'm going to cover that in my next slide. So create your target audience in a visual form, create some basic templates where you can put newsletters, and understand what is it that your audience wants to know. They are not too interested in transformation. They want to know what is it in me, for me to see that, how I am associated with it, or what happens to my role, and so on. And the third very simple thing that you do is bring the cadence. So this kind of calendar where you have, so I have given a simple Scrum 3-week this thing here, and bring a cadence that every once in a iteration we will have a clinic where you are able to actively engage with people. This is more focused on your transformation. Then you have newsletter, which is more focused on your end users. And then with status updates, every end of iteration, you can communicate that, okay, these are the features or capabilities that your engineering teams are releasing. And this is how they are going to enable you. This is what those people understand, your end users understand, how are we getting benefited. So have some kind of cadence based cadence stitched into your overall agile Scrum ceremonies or something like that, and establish mechanisms to do that. This does not require anything extraordinary, which as coaches we cannot do. So this is one aspect. Now, the target operating model itself, right? First, and I'm very sincere about this, right? Please don't get hung up on frameworks, right? They are there to help us understand how to bring the transformation. But if we become too emotional about it, that no, this is what framework says, then the chances are you will have some slips. So don't get hung up on frameworks. Keep an open mind and see how you want to bring the change here rather than the transformation here, right? Now, one very important thing that I have done in my present engagement is the role mapping and role card discussions. And I have personally invested a lot of hours in doing the role mapping. These are two things. One is you have a set of people in your client organization who are getting impacted by transformation. Identify them, right? And with some of the key stakeholders with which you are working in the transformation space, sit with them and try to do a role mapping. Is this person an application architect or a solution architect or an enterprise architect? For you to do that mapping, they first need to understand what are these three different types of architect in the first place. So you need to have role cards that, okay, enterprise architect will do this, solution architect will do this, and an application architect will do this. Now, this person who is here, what do you think? With which role does he fit more? Right? And do that role mapping for each of the key roles that are there in your transformation. And believe me, this conversation itself will give you a scale that, okay, this is what we are looking at, and okay, so much is involved. It is not a flat mapping as per the framework, right? You will not necessarily get product owners for one team each, or such things. You won't even get architects. You may have tech leads or tech analysts, or these people are there in the organization in some shape and form. It is our job to bring that role mapping, have extensive discussion. So one is do the role mapping. And second, once these role mappings are done, do the role card discussions with these specific set of people. That, okay, let me just take a random name, Amit. Right? So Amit, we feel that in the new ways of working, your role is fitting like, is getting aligned with, let's say, solution architect. So can we have some time with you where we sit and discuss about your role card? So at this time, the coach has the role card of solution architect, where we say that, okay, what all is expected from a solution architect? And then Amit will say that, okay, I think I understand 5 or 6 of the points that you have got up in the role card, but I don't think that point number 7 and 8 is something I can do. Right? What is the action I'm taking as a coach? That Amit needs enablements on point number 7 or 8. We need to enable him. We need to set him for success to do the proper role of solution architect. Right? And it is also possible that the person with whom you are doing role card will give a pushback. No, absolutely not possible. In which case, it is quite possible that you have to revise your role card, and which is fine. Right? As I said, don't get hung up on these assets or on frameworks. Have flexible approach. So now what have I done? I have set Amit properly to do the role of solution architect with an explicit knowledge that he is presently not having any capability on 2 aspects, but I will initiate some trainings or some enablements for him to work there. And this kind of discussion, if you see this slide, I have done with all key stakeholders which are there. These are just the snippets that I have captured. The detailed slides have extensive cover of what this role is supposed to do. Whom are you going to interact with? What are your key responsibilities? What are the outcomes that are expected from you? And these are very focused discussion. The other benefit of this is done on a one-on-one basis. So it helps those people to open up. And as a coach, it is a very good mechanism for you to have that direct feedback from your key stakeholders. So this is a very, very important tool that I have used. Another things that we have done, and I think one I have not written here, is to include the communication of feature and capability delivery as part of definition of done. We do not generally include communication and trainings as part of definition of done. What I mean here is that, okay, your team has started operating in Agile, they are delivering some feature or capability, iteration on iteration. That communication that, okay, this feature is being, this capability has been delivered, this is how it will unravel for you. That communication has to go to the end users. How will they know? Right? We cannot leave it to clients because God knows what they will do. So this is what has been delivered. And only when the communication has gone, one of your DoD criteria is ticked. You may say that it may delay the delivery, but the bigger problem is, suppose without communication you put this feature or capability on production, right? And tomorrow the users log in and then they see and they say, what the hell is this? I'm not familiar. What is coming in front of me? It will create a bigger number of escalation. Whereas proactively, if you send communication and set up trainings, then they will understand that, okay, this is what is coming on production. So again, bring it in your DoD criteria if possible. We have modified our sprint boards to include training and communication as part of DoD. It stands as our columns in our sprint boards in ADO, where this has to be necessarily done. Yeah, and I just covered the tool aspect also. And as I talked about it earlier, that likes your Scrum ceremonies, establish regular cadence for these communications and trainings. Now, whatever I have given as suggestions are something that as coaches we can do. We may not be able to do change management as extensively as it is done by the experts, but these are the things that we can definitely imbibe in our day-to-day work. Okay, I think I'm just a little bit over time, acceptable, I hope, and I'm open for questions, and I'm more than happy to hear your experiences in this space. Anything? And is there anything on chat? Vinay, anything that you would like me to take?
Yeah, I think there is one question in the chat which you already covered. Which tools mostly are used to track the progress of agile transformation?
Which tools mostly are used to track the process of agile transformation? Ravi, can you explain this a little bit? Do you really mean agile transformation? I'm not very clear on this question, Vinay.
Probably like I can help here. So
Yeah.
when there is an organization have decided to implement agile transformation, implementing the agile. So now, how do they measure and where they track it, the transformation, how it is going on? Are we on track or not? What tool they can use? That's what I am understanding their question.
If you consider as a project.
I think, yeah, like Jira. Okay.
Yeah, so let me tell you one thing. We are using one tool, but I not tool per se, but we are using a method to track our progress. And generally, I think if we relate it to the agile assessments that we do for our engineering team on lines of walk, run, crawl, walk, run, fly, right? We use this technique for our teams, right? For our agile teams. The same techniques can be used for agile transformation. If it is in the early stages if you are in early stages of transformation, you can say that, okay, we are at crawl, and how would the transformation move from crawl to walk is when we are able to see these capabilities into the organization. So that is coming on top of my mind. But if you are thinking of a specific tool like Jira or ADO, then personally I have not used. I don't have experience in this space. But if anybody from the participants have used any tool, then please feel free to answer Ravi's question.
Yeah, Tasneem, Bhaskar here. Yes, I worked as an enterprise coach and currently working as a lead transformation coach. So probably what Ravi would like to know is, considering any project, how are you going to track it in a day in, day out routine? How things are happening versus from start through end. So I don't know how effectively his background is today. If he's truly in traditional, not working in agile space, probably that might be the trigger for the question. But in Agile, yes, we have tools like Rally, Jira, where, we it's a tool for, in short, for, work mode, plan mode, and report mode, where we extensively use it. And sprint on sprint, we will be very clear, the committed versus completed. And that's how a demo something as soon as the sprint is ended, we demo it, or as soon as the iteration is ended, we demo it to all the stakeholders, and that's how we will be ensuring that we are on the track towards the ultimate project objective. So hopefully, Ravi, this may be clear for you.
I will add on to this. So what? Okay, now I understand one. So what we are doing as transformation coaches for our present client is that we have given them a iteration-based planning. That we have created iterations for ourselves as coaches. That in the first iteration, starting this date, ending this date, as coaches, we will be doing these deliveries, right? And at the end of the iteration, we have a review session set up with our clients, that this is what we have delivered, and anything that you would like to say, any feedback that you have, do you want us? And then we do our own iteration planning. So in a span of 3 to 5 months, you imagine the total number of iterations that we have made, but it gives amazing clarity to them that this is how the transformation is progressing. Again, it is not specific to any tool, but the approach that we have taken here.
Agreed, Tasneem. Yep.
Yeah.
Even I do have experience working in SAFe and all other, the scaling frameworks. But wherever I am today, yes, definitely the way today you brought up a good point, which is the change management. But as a, strategy leader, all I can say, definitely we need to work with leaders whenever they want to, do something or transformation. For me, it is truly the change management. And definitely it will take like, couple of years for sure. And the key is how your executive leadership is coming up, making a key role. What is today's status versus where they want to reach out. So that will give a big picture, holistic picture for all the coaches. And how far you will be involving, yes, that depends on the space, that flexibility that they give to us. But however, these two goes in hand, the change management versus the org transformation. And the one key call out I would like to make is, like, from today's status to the, futuristic status. First and foremost thing coming into Agile is to delight our customers, okay? And to be specific, what is the application products we have? What is that we want to, make a big change, and how do we end up, delight our customers? So knowing that the market trends are maybe in the organization, what is that something that, the team compositions, the team dynamics, the product space, especially what are the, customer demands basis, which as a coach we can inculcate and adopt, and especially give some knowledge base, especially on the framework. Because if you look at any framework, it is nothing but the set of practices. But all the set of practices are aligned to your Agile manifesto, which says 4 values and 12 principles. See, each framework has a very unique perspective, because you can't apply a place where Scrum is the best to go, but you can't apply Kanban there, and vice versa. So knowing that customer demands, having that trend analysis in place, so definitely you can recommend a good framework where you can achieve that futuristic status. But Yeah, definitely. It's good to see you kind of shared many things, how this change management is truly aligned and realistic towards your organization transformation. Thanks a lot for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, to the best of interest of the time, I think this is the longest Agile series session. It is record broken today. Thank you, Tasneem, for coming forward. In honored, we are honored with a ticket of 5 trees at Trees for Tigers, Sundarbans National Park, West Bengal. You'll be getting a soft copy in the email, and also the certificate number. With that ID number, you can also check the status of the trees. Thank you very much. And Venkat,
Thank you.
Venkat, can you? I thank you very much for our immediate president, past president Venkat, for connecting you. It is I was looking for a very good speaker, especially experienced agile coach as a part of series 2. In series 1, we were not looking for the basics, but in series 2, we are looking at the advanced topics, and rightly at the timely, as you rightly said, it's about all time, right? At right time, Venkat has connected to me with you. Over to you, sir, for a couple of words.
Sure, Vinay. Thank you. So I don't take much time as we are already over the time. I think, no, fabulous session, Tasneem. I think thanks again for your time today. I think it's a short turnaround time. I think last week only I connected, immediately accepted. Thanks a lot for that. And this is, I think, two important takeaways. The change management is a specialized field. As what you covered at a summary level today definitely gives a grasp of what exactly we need to look at. And for especially project managers, coaches, scrum masters, especially in the agile world, understanding and how you blend the change management concepts in your transformation journey is the key takeaway today. So I think that's important aspect each one of us need to understand. So thanks again, and last but not least, thanks to PMIPCC and Vinay especially for running this series successful. I would say close to a year, and it's not easy to run a series so successful from last 1 year. Thanks a lot again, and congrats to PMIPCC team.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And thank you very much once again for connecting, Tasneem. And in future also, I'll come back to you, come back to for other speakers. So few announcements from chapter point of view for PMP and PMI ACP. Sorry for the typo there. PMI ACP workshops. Please do contact to our academic director Sheshu Ganti, and you can reach out to him at email academy@pmipcc.org, and his contact number 9989136831 for PMP and PMI ACP workshops. And the brand, our flagship annual conference, which is on next Saturday. By this time, we will be in the conference next week, Gyan Lahari 2023. This year, our theme is project management, delivering value through disruptions. We have quite a good amount of speakers covering the theme from various industries. The conference is at Avasa Hotel, High-Tech City. If you're not registered, I would highly recommend you guys to register, and it is an in-person event. Hope I'll see you as many as people from this call during the conference. And as a part of this session, we have taken the registration. Based on that registration, our PMI IDs will be credited with 1 PDU automatically. It will take close to 1 week to get it auto-credited for the PDUs. If you're not getting it, please do get back to us. And you can reach out to me at membership@pmipcc.org and at 9989348878. Once again, thank you very much for all the chapter members and other members for joining us Saturday morning. And special thanks to Tasneem for taking us today. Thank you very much, and have a good day and rest of the weekend as well.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all. Thank you, Tasneem and Vinay.
Thank you all. Bye.